Spoilers! This is Sophie Aldred with The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS.
Hello. Welcome to the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. How are you, my fellow Whovians? I'm wonderful. I hope you are wonderful too, because we're here for Lux. The second episode? Yeah, we're on the second episode of the new season of Doctor Who. I'm super excited about it, and I'm not the only one here. So let's start with, we're going to start with Christian. And then I'll shuffle him off to the corner because we've got a full packed house today. Christian's going to be off in the corner.
Shuffle me off to the corner. Yep. I'll be producing the show, so I'll be behind the scenes. And I dare you all to try to out-chat me today. Go put your chats in. Don't forget, let me pull this up over here. Don't forget, welcome, fellow Whovians. Tonight we're going to be, as Dave said, the second episode of the second series with Gatwa. Tonight we will be reviewing Doctor Who Lux. Post your comments in the chat, 1 through 10, 1 being bad, 10 being great, and all the numbers in between. And comment what you tell us. We're going to do the panelists tonight first, and then we will be moving over to the chats to see what you got. And of course, you can always comment on what we rated the episode. So go ahead, Dave. Send me back. Send me back to the back.
All right. Who else do we have from the other side of the pond? We've got the Candyman.
Hey guys, can someone turn the light on? Sorry. And Dave, no one puts Christian in the corner.
I did.
He did.
No one puts,
he's being so mean.
No one puts baby in the corner. You know what I mean? It's just how it works.
So mean. Put away.
Sit down and be good. Think about all the things you didn't do.
There's a lot of things I haven't done.
Who else do we have? But of course, we've got the wonderful and fabulous returning from Nick Smith Films, Mr. Nick Smith.
Woohoo!
That's me. It's so good to see you folks. It's been too long. I'm very pleased to be here, especially because I love cartoons and animated films, and especially films and shows that mix animation and live action. So I can't wait to talk about Lux.
So good, so good. And returning as well, our philosophy is, hey, Sean, how's it going?
It's going great. I'm excited to talk about this episode as well. So thank you very much for having me.
Excellent. And for is it the first time, Christian, for Zion?
It is the first time for Zion. So we got a premiere. But if you want to, let's bring Gadget on first.
Okay, we'll bring Gadget
on. Or
are
we going to leave Gadget for the Who Knew News?
We'll leave Gadget for the Who Knew News. We'll know who Gadget is. We'll bring Zion on. Zion not on camera.
Hello.
How's it going, my friend?
Good. I am glad to be here. Is it my first time, Christian?
It is your first time. Really, it is.
Is it the long way around? We have history. We've been talking Who for a good while.
We've been on other podcasts, so
at MegaCon slightly too. So some of our viewers may have met you.
Yes. Hello, everyone. My name is Zion. Shameless plug or not, please look up Porygon's Pokédex. We are going out and catching all 1,025 Pokemon. It's absolutely ridiculous. But we're here to talk about Doctor Who.
You're bored, aren't you?
I'm sorry. If I was a companion, he'd drop me off at the drop of a hat because I'd say, let's go see the Declaration of Independence being written, and he's like, oh my God, this is boring.
Put that channel into our private chat if you have access there, Zion, and we'll make sure we get it up on screen at the end of the show.
Yeah, you go.
Will do. Thank you.
And last but not least, we've got Gadget, who's going to be doing our Who Knew News here in a moment.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Gadget, how's it going?
Hanging in there and stuff. You can see the fun background I got right now because I figured why not go toony? Howl's Moving Castle. That's more toony can you get?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But Christian, if you think we're ready, why don't you run the news?
Oh, hell, we'll never be ready, but here we go.
Well, people, we're going to call the news a triple threat tonight, but at the same time, we do have some sad news. It's not too sad, but it's sad because we've already mourned as best we could with this former companion and everything, and we understand the cancer is just the most evilest thing out there. So if there's any way anybody can just fund something or help those families that have cancer and everything, just give them that little extra boost and everything, because we're honoring once again Elizabeth, you're gonna do this to me, Selden, and she passed away on April 19th, 2011, and it was the saddest day for all of us, especially when I just found out that they do have an audio drama dedicated to her and everything. Goodbye Sarah Jane and everything. And I was crying when I found it and everything. It was the best closure you could have for the series and everything, especially that they put the trickster down in basically a been or something for 1,000 years, so the trickster can't return or anything. But who knows? And everything. It's Doctor Who. It can always change at a drop of a dime. And they said that she's probably got one last journey with the Doctor right before it all happened, you know? So I would think that way too. Let's let her have that one last journey with him, because he promised to pick her up. He put her in the wrong spot, but he promised to pick her up later and everything. But everyone will miss her. And I wish she could have gone on longer, because imagine what the new series Sarah Jane Smith's adventures would have been like, the incorporation of all the shows and everything. Like, out of all the spin-offs, her show was the best, and she was the sweetest person going. And I hope her daughter can maybe come visit sometime and everything, and maybe become the next Sarah Jane Adventures series.
Well, she's doing the audio. She's doing the Big Finish audio now. I'm hoping that she got primed. She gets to be Sarah Jane Prime in the show, or like some.
I'm hoping
some kind of like off nephew or something like that. But yeah, it's we miss her dearly. But if you get a chance, if you really love Sarah Jane, her daughter, oh God, Sadie Miller, is taking on the role in audio form with Tim Treloar as the third Doctor. So you definitely want to check that out when you get a chance.
And also, if you can find it on YouTube or anything, Sarah Jane's Goodbye, because like I said, you bring tissues, because the way they did it was the most heartfelt ending to everything, and it worked and everything. And Sophie's in there too.
The only thing I'm a little bit bitter about this is that I remember when Art TD ended the Sarah Jane Adventures the way he did. He wanted Sarah Jane to like be out in the universe,
right,
with no ending, because the Doctor doesn't like endings, and he didn't think she deserved an ending. As far as we're concerned, she's still running out there, you know, doing her thing, investigating and solving stuff, and she's with Mr. Smith and all the team. But then they put out that short, and I was like, oh. And now they found hope,
because they could probably spin it off, and someone else can take care of Mr. Smith now.
Well, they finally gave it an ending, or at least when Ncuti and David meet up together, they talk about Sarah Jane in the past. So I'm like,
it's just that's the heartbreak of everything. I even have on my YouTube channel, I did a farewell when she passed away and everything, and it was like, she's the reason I got into science and everything when I was watching Doctor Who, because I had a teacher that literally didn't think girls could be in STEM and all the other stuff, and watching her with the Doctor, like solving problems, doing things like, you know, girls can do anything guys can do. And that's what actually got me my A back in science class and everything, because of her. And I always wanted to tell her that, because I was about to meet her at a convention, and that's when she passed. And it's sad. It really is. And I wish, like I said, anybody who's going through this with cancer, any type of illness or anything, please look out for them. Please help the families, you know, just be kind, you know, you never know when the next I love you or the next hug, or you don't know when it's going to be, you know, because it might not even get there, you know. But on a happier note, we're going to go with, because I'm going to start crying. We have a triple threat. Say that 10 times fast. It seems that David Tennant, Camille Kaduri, and Eric Roberts all share the same birthday. And that makes a lot of sense because of everything and stuff. Because David turns 54, and Camille turns 60, which she does not even look like it. And Eric turns 69. So it is not like all three of them with the same birthdays. That's why they all have those witty personalities and everything and stuff. But David was a ham. He was stealing the show at everything. And everyone said his next convention, they can't wait to meet him and everything. But he did break numbers at some of the conventions. He did break numbers.
I still remember Camille from King Ralph.
That was funny. Yeah.
So happy birthday, those three.
And then to tie into what tonight we have, because since we're going to be all wacky and toony and stuff and everything, also a shout out, I don't know if Christian, you got it right and everything, to Katsuki Bakugo, or Murder Explosion Dynamite from My Hero Academia. His birthday was on April 20th, 4/20, which everyone's like, oh, he's got a very interesting birthday, but we won't go there. We don't want to get demonetized and everything. But if you have that...
It's not 4/20 in the UK. It's 24.
Oh, your day is
give me a
24.
break.
Everywhere else in the world, including Japan.
We're still trying to get you guys to drive on the right side of the road for crying. out loud.
Most of our fans will understand why it's funny that he has that birthday, especially if you watch the show and everything. But I figured since we're going into the tunes tonight, why not we give a shout out to a toon or an anime character that has a birthday this week and everything. And trust me, with the explosive personality this one has, I would love to see Lux and him, because they're both light and everything, go after each other and see what happens. You know?
Speaking of explosive personalities, Zion, I found it. Yeah.
There it
Oh
is.
my god.
He
Oh,
found it.
no.
That is awesome.
We are putting
You know-
that up all night long.
Yep.
When you took that photo, I tried to make the question mark the right way, but that actually works. It being completely the other way.
Mhm.
Maybe we could flip over the picture. I
Yeah.
think I could go the other
Yeah,
way. and it looks
yeah, but that's
cool. Yeah.
okay. It's fun. That's
That's your
the
picture tonight.
that is the last photo I had with that on umbrella. Little note. Me and Christian go all the way back to like a decade back, and that umbrella was like a big piece in us meeting. And that MegaCon, I lost it, and I'm glad that like you took that photo, because I think that's the first time I ever took a photo with the Traveling TARDIS.
Aw.
So like it's kind of poetic that it was the last.
Oh, well, there's gonna be plenty more, brother. Definitely. gonna be
Absolutely.
plenty more.
And
Thank
who
you.
knows? We might find it in England. We might find it another one somewhere, you know, or maybe they finally found it and they can send it back, you know,
Yeah, maybe. Hopefully.
and everything. But
Everywhere.
speaking of like events and everything, we also have another convention having some fun. As everyone knows, Gallifrey 1 has been changing their format and everything, and they just announced 5 new guests and everything. So we have Peter Davison as our beloved Fifth Doctor coming to for the series 20th anniversary and everything and stuff like that. They're saying for Big Finish and everything. Paul McGann is showing up for his appearance, as well as Daphne Ashbrook as usual, because those two always go together and everything. And it's Yi Ji Cho will also be showing up. So it will be the like a reunion of the Fox episode of Doctor Who and everything. But we also have Mrs. Flood showing up, Anita Dobson. So they were able to secure her, and she's still got tight lips. Everyone's saying they want her to show up and everything and stuff. So let's see what happens. But she's basically going to be there, and they said more guests to come and everything. So I would get your tickets right away if you definitely want to go to Gallifrey 1. And if you don't want to go to Gallifrey 1, but you want to just sit at home and watch something interesting, John Barrowman, did I get it right, guys?
Yeah.
He's basically asking everyone to go to his page and check out his live stream that he had pre-taped and everything from his shows that are coming up for the 25th, 26th, and 27th. And he also he says you're going to be falling over laughing when you watch this, because it's John Barrowman laid bar. And from what I could see on Instagram, I was dying, because he pulled the same thing he did at Comic-Con when he fell on the stage, like when he did something like when something would like trigger him and everything to laugh and everything. So this looks like it's going to be pretty good and stuff. And we just got also, when I was looking through things, they posted on the Doctor Who website a new trailer for the War Games colorized for Doctor Who and the Second Doctor series with Jamie and I forgot her name. I forgot the other companion. Zoe.
So I
with
think
Zoe.
Yeah, the War Games with Jamie and Zoe. And just a clarification, it's Laid Bare for John Barrowman.
That's how you pronounce it?
Laid Bare, yeah.
Thank you.
Bare naked, which John Barrowman has
end up being.
Yeah. But the good news is if you do want to watch Doctor Who, it seems that Pluto TV is offering it for free. BritBox, you need a subscription. Roku, you need a premium subscription. And Fandango, you just $1.99.
Is that
so if you
classic
watch
or modern?
It looks like classic.
It's a classic story recolorized, like they did with the story of the Daleks. So they've cut it down a little bit.
Oh, you're talking about when they did the War Games. Yeah.
Yeah. They're just re-releasing it on Pluto.
Okay. I get you. Oh, also,
Who was that?
Who did that?
Accidentally me. That was me trying to bring something up and what else
did
have
you
you
say
done?
Mrs. Flood is going to be at the convention?
Yes, at Gallifrey 1. They actually just got Anita and everything. So if anybody is really interested in going, they got her. They have the Fifth Doctor. They have the whole team from the Fox movie. They have, yeah.
Well, I want her to go there, but if she does, if anyone has a camera or if anyone films it, she has to look into every camera. She can't walk by a camera. That she has to look into every camera and say something.
I think that's in her contract.
If we have enough cameras, maybe she'll spoil something. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, everybody's got a theory on who she is and everything, but we don't know yet because this episode was a little weird too, especially. But that's all we have for the news right now because I went to go check other things, but the only thing are rumors and more rumors on more rumors. But is it a marketing play? Because everyone keeps saying it might be a marketing play. So that one I have to do a little more research on, but we might find out in the third episode if it was a marketing play that's going on and stuff. Because do you guys think it's over?
God, no.
No.
There's always a twist at the end.
Yep. And everything. So with that, we're going to go back to regular review and hopefully I'll get some news blasts on anything because usually during the show I end up getting something sent to me and everything. But if it turns out it's something good, I will definitely break this and we can have breaking news, okay? So I hope you guys, you have anything else you want to say? Any conventions, anything right now to let our fans know where everybody is or what's going on?
Until the end, but we'll go ahead and
okay.
close out the Who Knew News.
All right. So Gadget, since you're up on the screen, let's just get your number to start.
8.5.
8.5 for Gadget. All right. So yes, we're gonna get our numbers from all of our panelists for Lux. 1 to 10 TARDIS.
Yeah.
Zion, what did you give Lux?
I don't give out 10s for free, but this is a 10.
Okay. A brave and fabulous first episode.
Where can you go from here?
I know, he's just putting a 10 up.
Yeah.
Your philosophy is what number?
I'm going to give 6 tortoises out of 10. I was going to say 6 Bugs Bunnies out of 10, but you said TARDISes, so I figured I'd say tortoises. Can you guys hear me okay, by the way? I'm having weird... Okay, I just want to warn you guys, when I come back later for my thoughts, if you can't hear me, it's because I'm having some weird shenanigans with my mic.
Maybe Lux got into it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I pushed the microphone and it went ha 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 ha. So if Christian, if you can't hear me or something, can you like forcefully unmute the mic because it's been muted?
I think I can do that.
Okay, all right. I was just.
Well, we do have Gremlins. We have Princess Vanellope. So yeah, it's gonna be one of those nights. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've mentioned some goblins.
I got the chats. Don't jinx me.
Speaking of goblins, Nick, what is your?
Oh, geez.
Let me know that hurt.
I love the color coordination we got here. Actually, it's working out quite well. 7 for me.
7 for you. All right. And Candyman.
I'm going for what the fan said on the show.
You're 7?
7, but it would have been me if I just do 7, so I'm going to go 7.77777.
Oh God!
All right, 7.
Can't take you anywhere.
You can't. You know what I mean?
We'll have one more review at the end from our wonderful Faith, who sent in a video this time.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, as we talk, we're going to go to commercials in just a quick moment here. But everyone, put your ratings into the chat. What did you give Lux? 1 to 10 TARDISes, and let us know why. And we'll bring those up a little bit later in the show as well. But for now, Christian,
yes, sir.
Why don't we do some commercials now and then get them out of the way?
Oh, that sounds like a plan. When we return, we're going to be doing a review of Lux. Don't forget, put your number in the chat and tell us why you rated Lux the way you did. We'll be back. And I was going to say something cool, but it didn't happen.
I'm author Mark Muncy.
And I'm author Erica Lance.
And this is Eerie Travels.
Greetings, travelers. Join us as we travel through folklore, myths, monsters, legends, and dark history.
Now, we'll be your guide to the spooky side of reality as we discuss cryptids, paranormal, and all things preternatural.
Sometimes we find the truth is way scarier than fiction.
We're on twice a week on your favorite podcast platforms, including iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube.
We have amazing guests from all of the areas of the strange and unusual, including witnesses, investigators, and more.
Now, with Erica's curiosity and ridiculous array of pop culture and true crime knowledge.
And Mark's decades of experience diving into folklore and the legends with the truth that's behind them.
Yeah, so join us, travelers, as we take you to the edge of reality, and we'll see you on the other side.
We are a touring acoustic duo crashing kitchens around the country. We go from house to house every Friday night and we create music, we create food, a good time, we stream it live and we do it for free. So now we're just really kind of like trying to develop it and build a community group that people believe in, then they'll help us. So we played from our rehearsal room, we played from the bathroom, thankfully that didn't catch on.
I probably played guitar in my room, not for anyone, in front of anyone, nobody heard, for probably about 10 years.
And then one Friday night we played from the kitchen. It's the main place people want to be. It's where the food is, it's where the drink is, it's where the best lighting is. You can go to any party and I guarantee you the kitchen is going to be popping.
Our ultimate goal, I think, would be to crash kitchens every Friday all around the world.
Are you a movie nerd? Do you collect VHS, DVDs, CDs, records, and so much more? Are you looking for clothing from 1940s to 2000s? Do you need cosplay or themed outfits? Come to Ducky's Vintage. We have it all for all budgets, located at the Oviedo Mall right off of the 417. Ducky's Vintage for those born in the wrong decade.
Hello, I'm Sadie Miller, and this is The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS.
And we are back. Now, we might have to cut this part, so if we're watching, I'm going to bring up a video. YouTube may or may not like it. We'll find out.
Oh, great.
Try video out. You might
demonetize me. Dematerialize. No.
Dematerialize you?
Demonetize, materialize me. Yes.
You're already a McCall Christian, so.
Since we had a little conversation about the second Doctor, and we'll show this 25 seconds, which also means we might be fine.
Ta-da! I'm Mr. Ring-a-Ding. I make your heart bells sing. Please don't make me laugh. Just take my autograph. Now take my jokes, my lovely folks, because I know just one thing. For I am he, oh yes, I'm Mr. Ring-a-Ding.
What have you done with your infernal meddling?
Very proper.
I couldn't not with that. That was too entertaining. I love that little clip that somebody put together. That's one of the one things I loved about this is there was enough stuff on a plain white screen and with distinct enough lines to be able to cut Mr. Dingling out and drop him into pretty much anywhere or nowhere.
And the funny part is Second Doctor's son played in what was it? Midnight? Was it Midnight? Planet Midnight as the professor on there, right?
One of his sons, yeah. I forgot.
Yeah.
It's like Michael Troughton's the other Troughton.
Yeah. So that's interesting. You know, I mean, like it stays in the family. So imagine if Lux travels around.
Anyway, the 10th Doctor gave us his rating on that. So
so impressed.
Perfection.
So let's start us off on the bottom. And I'm curious about this. So Sean, we've got you at a 6. So why only a 6? What
yeah. I kind of thought that might be the question. I'm like 6. It's like, why though? Because I kind of thought that, like, I was looking around, I'm like, I don't know what anyone's like. I didn't know what the reviews were going to be before I talked to you guys, and I was like, I found myself on the low end again, and I was like, oh.
And that's okay. We that's fine as long as you can justify it.
Right. Well, I'm about to. So basically, I gave this episode a 6, essentially because I think it's fine. It has its ups and some downs. It has some kind of significant downs. I'm going to talk about in a second. But I want to talk about first, like, the things I like about this. But first, did you guys know that there was that this episode actually has a deep fake shot in it? Did you guys know that?
I did not know that.
No. Well, it's, you know, that shot of Belinda throwing the film canisters on the ground. A lot of people thought that was Varada Sethu, like, performing that shot. But actually, it was just a recycled shot of a BBC archivist from the 1960s handling old Doctor Who episodes, and they just put her face on it. So no, I'm kidding.
Oh, someone went with that theory.
Right. No, but it does.
No, you got to, Sean. You got a reaction to that. There you go.
What?
Me?
Very nice.
Me? I did that.
Oh my.
We blame her.
Oh my. It does. The episode does have some stuff I like. So basically, it's the silliness and it's the discourse. So the first thing I want to talk about is the discourse, because this episode does something I like. It addresses the fact that in the TARDIS, not everyone is going to be white, and not every time period is going to be friendly to that fact. I really like what the Doctor says. I paraphrase, but he basically said, I've toppled worlds. I let other people topple their own worlds sometimes. In the meantime, I live in it and I shine. That was great. I like that. Doesn't pretend it doesn't exist. Doesn't necessarily make the whole episode about it, which might not work too well with this particular kind of story they're trying to tell. This and Rosa, I like that the show is trying to explore that in a more realistic way, because a lot of us were curious about that, with Ncuti getting cast as the Doctor. As excited as I was for that, I was curious how they were going to handle that. So I like that. I also like the campiness and the silliness, which is, I think, probably what most people really liked about this episode, and I include myself in that. I like Mr. Ring-a-Ding. It is very silly. I like the fourth wall breaking. I don't mind that stuff. I'm a sucker for that stuff. The Doctor crawling through the screen, like, that's my stuff, right? I love all of that. The Scooby-Doo animation part made me laugh, and like all of that was great. So, by the way, the fans being, and I'm going to come back to the fans in a second. There's a specific thing with the fans I want to talk about that we see in the episode, like the three friends sitting on the couch. So the part where the episode started to take a little bit of turn for me, and I'm going to keep this as brief as I can because I know we got a lot of people to get through. Basically, when we invoked the gods again, for me, the Pantheon is not working all that well, because to me, an enemy that is OP but beatable is a lot more interesting than someone who's like, I have infinite power and there's nothing you can do about it. That's part of the reason I have trouble getting into Percy Jackson too. It's just like, I'm just a god and there's nothing you can do about it. It's like, that's not tremendously interesting to me. I like the Doctor Who spin of, hey, this is a vampire, but it's actually an alien, or this is an alien that's presenting itself as a god or a ghost. Like, I like that angle. And, well, the Doctor has definitely defeated some gods in the past. He had to bring in some supernatural shenanigans, and in sci-fi, the rules are already lax. And when you do that, it makes the rules even more lax. For me, especially as a person who doesn't really have a belief in anything supernatural, I just don't typically find that all that interesting. No shame for anyone who does find that stuff more interesting, but it's just, I like the whole alien angle. That's too far of a departure. I think it kind of takes away some of the stakes, because it's just like when they killed Ruby's mom and Kate Stewart and like all of UNIT. I'm like, okay, well, I know that's not going to stick. The Doctor's talking about the god getting rid of all of existence. I'm like, okay, well, we're not going to do that, right? Because then we wouldn't have a show. So that started to diminish it a little bit. And then there were a couple of other things too. Like the first thing is some of the performances were a little bit off. I thought the guy who, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, didn't the film guy like die at the end?
Probably.
Yeah.
You don't see it, but probably.
Right. It's implied. It's kind of something I talked about, like bringing up a serious thing. Like he kind of dies, and it looks like he kind of does that on purpose. And it's like, that's a very, like, for anything you're talking about like this, like if anyone finds themselves in that kind of mindset, please reach out to a helpline or a trusted friend. But, you know, bringing it up as a conclusion in Doctor Who in a weird way, I don't think that was very good. And then last thing I'll talk about is the thing with the fans. So at one point, one of the fans says, "R.I.P. Doctor Who." A lot of people probably talked about that. I understand that Russell T. Davies is an ambassador for Doctor Who. He wants to stand up for it. That's great. Don't think that was a good place to put that in there. Because, well, it's true that sometimes when people talk about R.I.P. Doctor Who online, some of their concerns are legitimate. Writing, that kind of thing. The Timeless Children comes to mind, right? That's around the time people started using that, I think. But I don't think you should have put it in the show, because a lot of times when people use R.I.P. Doctor Who, it's disingenuous. It's mining rage. It's people who are vocally opposed to changes in representation and what types of people are in the show, or who's writing the show, or what gender the person is writing the show. And I want Russell T to go out there and defend his stars. I want RTD to go out there and defend his writers and defend things like inclusion, stuff like that, and diversity. I think that's great. But bringing up that framing of a disingenuous conversation about this RIP Doctor Who thing from people online who are just mining rage and actually don't care about having legitimate conversations, bringing that up and not addressing that, kind of doing it in a flippant way, that does more harm to the show than good. That does more harm to the community than good. So I don't think you should have done that. And I honestly embracing myself for impact whenever stuff like that's in the show, because I like to be online sometimes, right? So, but yeah, a lot of ups and downs. I think it was fine, but the stuff that worked well for me. I like the new character. I like Mr. Ring-a-Ding. It's a lot of fun. So yeah, 6.
So here's a question for you. If I don't follow hashtags, I on any of my social media, I don't have it set up to follow any of them, which is neither here nor there. But what if what is happening with that hashtag now? Are people who are genuine fans using it in a more lighthearted way? Are they taking that back from the disingenuous Twitter ragers?
That might be true, and that's, you know what, if that's what happens, I will eat my words more than Mr. Ring-a-Ding ate the universe. I will do that.
I hope you end up having to do that. I have no idea if that's the case, but you know, I'd like to think that it's something a little bit more like that, and I'm very curious to see what the rest of this group has to say in general, but especially about the fans, because that is something that has been kind of a bantering back and forth. Was this good? Was this bad? Was this good? Was this bad? I don't know if Nick has anything to say about it, but Nick was a 7, so Nick is next. So why a 7? Why what worked? What didn't?
I am so a 7. You just summed it up there, Dave. Yeah, I mean, I like what you say about, you know, taking back a hashtag or taking back even a word or a name, because RTD's done that before. That does seem like something he would do. I really like this episode, and I'm very happy that the show is back, you know, for a second year in a row. Wow. I loved all the, you know, the meta stuff. The issues I have are more kind of technical and aesthetic than anything else. My big question is, why is this set in the 50s? And why didn't they go with it completely? I lived in Miami for 3 years, so when I heard it was going to be set in Miami, I'm like, ooh, Miami. Yes, please. Well, it's a huge melting pot of different cultures. It's the gateway to Latin America. Everyone's on the hustle. It's a really fascinating place, but I don't really get a sense that we were there from this episode.
It's Space Florida.
Yeah, Space
Everybody
Florida.
remembers that.
I would have liked to have seen more Latin characters, for example. This is Miami, after all. It could have been anywhere USA, and I guess that was really the point. Mr. Ring-a-Ding, he seemed more like a 90s cartoon. So if you're going to set, your story in the 50s, make it a 50s style cartoon and make him funny. They made the same mistake as the Joker 2, Folie à Deux. If anyone saw the cartoon that starts that movie,
hurt, dude. That really
it's not funny, is it?
Yeah.
Mr. Ring-a-Ding is not an interesting cartoon character. He's not like a Bugs Bunny or something like that. If you watch the beginning, he's just saying hello to somebody. Yawn. I would have liked them to really use the kind of cartoon universe, the potential of cartoons from the beginning. Anything can happen in a cartoon. He could wrap himself around a lamppost if he wanted to. You can have sight gags, you can have slapstick. But instead, he's just saying hello to someone and being kind of boring. So that was interesting to see how they were trying to do what they could technically, but also set it in a very specific period, the 50s. I'm still kind of wrapping my head around how the Doctor says that he shines. He doesn't get involved all the time with, with the planet's affairs. He said it with dignity, but I think right now we need heroes to make a stand. We can't just be shining. We need to do more. And the Doctor that I look up to would be more active. He wouldn't just say, it's human rights. I'm not human. I'm not getting involved in that. He'd kind of nudge things in the right direction, I hope.
Well,
Otherwise, it was really
he
cool.
did, just not in that scene and not that particular Doctor.
Yeah, exactly.
The Doctor has very much nudged the course of racial segregation in the U.S.
Definitely, and maybe he's changing his mind. Maybe he wants to get less involved.
Maybe he knows he's already done it.
Yeah.
You can't do it, right? There's only so much you can do. And in the middle of the night, in the middle of another Scooby-Doo adventure, I don't think would have been it had to be addressed, but I don't think it needed to be addressed any more than that.
Yeah, it didn't have to be hammered home.
Yeah.
So I totally agree with what Sean said about that, and also about the gods. The gods are being done too much for me. I loved it when the Seventh Doctor faced the gods of Ragnarok, because that was a surprise. He's faced off against regular alien monsters, but these are creatures of vast power. But if we have a god of the week or even a god of the year, that becomes old. And we have these gods who are supposed to be omnipotent, omnipresent. And yet the Doctor defeats them over and over again. It's not really working for me either. So that's why it's getting the 7. As far as Mrs. Flood, I am fed up with Flood. I don't know what's going on with her. She just tears me out of the story by looking at the camera. I like the idea of, kind of having an arc go over 2 years instead of just 1. Trying something different, cool. But not with Flood, please. No more Flood.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, to a certain extent, Mrs. Flood is almost mixing with what they already did with Susan Twist a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm definitely curious to see. I'm curious to see where they go and whether it will pay off, because we know that RTD2 has not always stuck the landing, if you will.
Yeah, but
so
what a great show, apart from that, with the fans, the surprises, the kind of cartoon messing with the frames and jumping out of movies. As a big movie nerd, I loved all that stuff. There is so much to enjoy. So yeah, maybe 7 and a tiny bit.
7 and a tiny bit. How about 7.7776?
Nope.
That still doesn't miss my order and puts you just below Mark's 7.7777.
So yeah, I'm still struggling with this series. It's still too shiny. If you look at the cinema, it's supposed to be not set in 1952s, but it doesn't feel like it's 1952s. It's got LED lights up the stairs, which they wouldn't have in 1952s. They didn't have where the band would be playing in an old cinema.
It's a different part of Miami.
But
the BBC part.
It seems to be very, very much shiny. And they're doing really, really good with the things, but they're just letting little tiny bits go. What I did notice, watching it from my laptop on Saturday morning and then rewatching it on a 55-inch 4K, I love the special effects they did with the different times of the cartoons, which you didn't pick up when I was watching it on a small screen. So, like, they would have like the film grain in the cartoon, and as they got into 3D, they got the film grain got better and better, and then when Mr. Ringading goes into 3D, you actually see the wire meshing.
Yeah,
which I thought was a really good idea, going from a 2D to a 3D, but using wire meshing to do that. That was brilliant. But I'm just finding it, it's not about having the gods, because like in classic Doctor Who, especially with the Seventh Doctor, yes, he faced Ragnarok, but he also faced Fenric, and he also faced a demon. So having a god thinking about every week, I'm not really that I'm not bothered with. What I am bothered is it doesn't seem paradoxical. It doesn't seem like the Doctor's on the edge. You know what I mean? If he makes one mistake, like he did in when he basically made Ace basically stop having faith within the Doctor.
I like that. I love that.
Because that was a paradox. He had to sacrifice his Ace's belief in the Doctor to defeat Fenric. And with these gods, I don't do it. I don't see it. The film tape which you just put up there, where it is, that was exactly the same thing they really did with Maestro. With music notes. We just changed it with music notes with film. And I just I don't know why I'm not liking this season this much as I did. It just didn't feel it's hitting the mark for me, to be perfectly honest with you. And that's probably why I hit it sevens. The fans, I didn't like what they cups. I'm not sure if you guys saw, but they had the cups and each of them had a slightly different cup. So the first one, Lizzie, says don't blink. The guy had the canine cup, and Robin says Robin needs to hydrate rather than exterminate, which I thought was quite good. Me with the fans, when I first watched it, I was like, oh, why did RTD do this? Why did he take a cheap shot at the fans? But then I was looking at the background, and if you look at the actual background of the set and you see all the Doctor Who movies and the Blu-ray class thing. So when I was rewatching this, so yeah, you can see that Lizzie don't blink. The guy's got canine, and Robin's got a picture of Dalek and says Robin needs hydrated. But you can see the Doctor Who Blu-ray collection. You can see loads of classic Who DVDs in the background, which I thought it was really, really good. And now on the top shelf, you'll see the new seasons DVD box sets as well, which you can see, which I thought was really, really good how they did it. And the Vez, you can't miss the Vez. And the first person who ever wore a Vez in Doctor Who was Sophie Aldred. She started the trend. I did find that the Meat T-shirt was a little bit too shiny, and you can see it was just fresh off the press, rather than it being a little bit worn.
It's a direct to fabric instead of direct to garment, like her shirt.
Yeah, but the Lux basically shining in too much light, and the light and the Doctor getting regenerated through light. No, the camera wouldn't be powerful enough to get the light through the Doctor, and that's a bit outside, like,
It's
yeah.
powerful enough to give life to Lux.
Well, that's what I mean. It's like, didn't they do that in what's it called?
Angels in Manhattan or something like that?
No, the Peter Capaldi one when he regenerated all the Daleks. Magicians.
The Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where he basically gave the Daleks the power to regenerate.
I was referring to River Song. Where I think the Angels Take Manhattan or something like that. When when River Song broke her wrist or something, and the Doctor healed her with regenerative power.
Yeah, but then the lights going through him to get regeneration power. No, it just didn't work for me. But on the whole, the animation, absolutely brilliant. The cameras still looking too shiny for the years, but they were a beautiful thing. When you go to the British Film Institute on the South Bank, you will see cameras like that stacked around the complex. I don't know. I'm just going to give it 7.7 recurring. I think the ending was a little bit like, oh, your body's made out of 80% water, but you can still drown. So what we did with Lux is he's made out of light, so we gave him more light so he can suck it all up and disappear. It was a bit uneventful, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I can get what you're saying there.
So I just want it to be more like in the episode in last season with Boom. I know not a lot of people like Boom, where he stood on that mine, which he mentioned it again. I thought Boom was really, really good episode because he had that paradoxical, like if he moved, he'll get blown up. Yeah. I don't see this in this season at the moment. I don't see that he's got to make that choice of if he does one thing, it's going to screw up. If he does the other thing, it's going to screw up. He just seems to have a way to get out of it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, Candyman, I see the same thing. I'm not worried about this Doctor. He's not in trouble enough. Even when he's having his hearts exposed in this show, he's already come up with the solution. I don't feel like he's in danger.
No.
So that's the disconnect for me.
So the stakes aren't high enough. The stakes are like they're not high enough, and that's I think.
Even like within Waters of Mars, where the 10th Doctor goes Time Lord victorious, and he still screws up because she just shoots herself. You know what I mean? In the can't remember what her name was.
Adelaide.
Yeah, she goes into the room, okay, and takes it out, and that means he lost something. He was trying to do something good and tried to make everything go to normal, but in doing so, he's caused something else. And this is what I don't see happening with Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor. It's just too shiny.
Okay. Now, Gadget. Gave it an 8.5.
Yeah, they touched on a few things I was going to talk about, like the thing about being different in 1952 because I had family members go through that and everything. Yeah, I'm very creative. Also, the thing I wanted to bring up was remember how they keep saying the Doctor's a god and everything and stuff, but what if she's a god and all that? Because I was watching it and it's like, don't make me laugh, don't do this. But he was more like the Fleischman cartoons, more like Betty Boop and everything, which technically I'm surprised we're not censored for Betty Boop, because if you know the history on Betty Boop and everything. But what got me was she's always, like I said, in yellow, and she was matching the cartoon character that Lux was talking to while he's in blue with a bow tie, the same as Lux. And I'm thinking, is it parallel, this episode? Was that them being cartoons already cartoons? Or was it, But at the same time, right before they entered the theater or right before they left the TARDIS and everything, I noticed something that was on the console, behind the console while she was talking and everything. And also it had to do with her name as well, because she's Belinda Chandra. And if you go with the Hindu text and everything, Chandra is the moon goddess, is crucial in Hindu astrology, influences human behavior, agriculture, and timing of rituals, embodies the reflection and nourishing aspects of the cosmos. Okay? And it's funny, she has a half moon sitting behind her as she's talking to the doctor, but she's still wearing that sunflower and still in yellow. But if you go where the sun god, the opposite of Syria, is a prominent sun god in Hinduism, going back to the Vedic text, he often shows riding a chariot representing the sun's journey across the sky, associated with life-giving qualities, healing, and dispelling darkness. So did his light dispel Lux's darkness, even though Lux was part of light? And is he the sun and she the moon? But using opposite color schemes and everything. So that's what got me thinking in the first part of it. Everything else with me, because my family, my aunt was a ticket collector at RKO and everything, I know about like the theaters and everything. Some theaters were like that, where they got to see the news and everything, because that's all you had. There were no TVs. Most people didn't have like 3 sets like we have, or a mini phone and everything. But what got me was the way they had, this was too, like Mark said, too bright color. It should have been more muted, because even with the colorization came out in 1930s and everything, they were muted colors. These were just too bright to everything. Like this episode, this being shown here is more like she said, Scooby-Doo, because this looks like the 1960s, 1970s of Scooby-Doo and everything. That color style, that color palette and everything, going into how the 90s to 2000s, and then combining the live action, even though live action was combined back in the, I think it was it still in the 50s or maybe the 40s, with Tom and Jerry, and one of the famous dancers, they combined live action with that in one of their movies and everything. So I like that concept and all that, but the reason I gave it 8.5 was because it just didn't move. It was funny in some points. It was crazy, like they're making fun of us bloggers, YouTubers, everything, vloggers, about how we review these shows and everything when they met up with the fans and everything. But what really stood out to me was that him basically being cooked by light, you know? Like, there's no way. The doctor already showed his hearts once in episode 1. Is he going to make this a habit? He's going to show his hearts again in now episode 2. But what got me was, what is Lux has not done? Like, what has he not done? He didn't laugh himself to death like they did in Roger Rabbit. He basically absorbed enough light to burn himself up to be part of the cosmos and everything. So, but I know I'm dancing around the subject of the other parts, because they did mention about Rock Hudson, and a lot of people didn't like that they were mentioning it, because the way she portrayed it, because of her medical training history and everything. But I also know why they also used Rock Hudson as well, because it was a nod to what's going on in the series and everything, to acknowledge those of different orientations, different everything. But most people just saw this as like a deadpan episode. I like the fact that they were the opposite characters, like I said, from the cartoon characters and everything, because they were more like comedic and everything. Like when he says cut, who am I saying cut to? They just, to me, felt like it was a show within a show, and they were affected by the around them. Because I thought going into this, oh, Lux is going to take them, turn them into cartoons, and now they have to go in the cartoon world and try to get out. Not this quick go, let's go and terrorize all the bloggers and everything, you know. But it was funny to see how they would break the fourth wall. But it's been broken with the 8th Doctor in the Doctor Who magazine. It's been broken with Sylvester's scene when Ace has the TV on, and it's going to say now appearing Doctor, when they were back in the 60s. This is just a rehash, I'm thinking. And that's what we're doing? Are we doing David Tennant's 10th Doctor's memories and rehashing all the Doctor's memories into one like show for us to see? Or are we just players in a game of like light and tricks of the eye and everything, you know? Because there's a lot you can do with movie magic.
Yes, there is.
Mm-hmm.
You like really paid attention to the moon. Like, I'm just sitting here like,
Well, I sent Christian a picture of it.
Like, I didn't even notice that. I'm just sitting here like,
because remember, the doctor doesn't know who he is. He had a memory wipe, and he also says, if I say my name, suns will burn. Or stuff like that, planets will burn or something, you know? And only River knew his name. And River and Flood, you know? What's going to flood our screens, you know?
Christian, can you just pull back Tom's message about he didn't cry? He did cry in this episode.
Yeah, he did.
Every episode so far since season 1 to now, he has cried.
And again, it was at the death of characters he's liked.
The fans.
In this case, the fans. When realizing, well, they're dead. And as soon as I leave, I've effectively killed them. So
yeah,
it's
I feel like
it is another, not terribly well portrayed, but another instance of the Doctor realizing his actions are going to affect someone else's life.
But she wasn't catching on in that part with them. That was the sad part.
Yeah.
Like, she didn't realize. He's like, oh no. Like, he was about to cry again and stuff. And
he did cry.
I didn't see it. That's the thing. Unless it was because of the little screen.
It was subtler, but he did, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like both times he's cried, because we've had 2 episodes, it's kind of been like, because someone's been lost, you know? Like, people kind of said he cried every episode, but it's like, if he's going to do that, I'm glad that it's like, oh, he acted like, the show is acknowledging, yes, the character died, right? Like, I kind of like that.
I'm hearing people want to start a drinking game from that.
But it was interesting. There was one interesting point, though, that everyone hasn't touched on. You know, she said limited run ending May 24th, 2025.
She did not say 2025.
Okay. That means they edited
very
something.
specifically.
Sorry, I get to see things, so I forgot. Sorry, they edited it.
No, I just rewatched it 2 hours ago, and that was
I forgot the one I saw. This is the edited. Yeah, I got to see the unedited that scene.
Yeah.
What was
the final one at least? Yeah, definitely not.
Yeah.
What was interesting is the atomic bomb right at the very beginning.
That's what threw me first. I'm like, okay, you're going into that and everything, so you're getting the feel of like the 50s and everything, but that just, why would you throw that first? You know, I would have thought maybe more what else was going on, but then you had the Cuban Missile Crisis, you had all the other stuff, you know, going on in the 50s.
That's what I think I didn't understand. It says British news. Wouldn't it be American news?
Yeah.
I mean,
that's what I wanted you guys to catch on. I thought you guys would have caught that, especially you.
Did the British not have news?
Not in Miami.
No, because it would have been.
You're right.
And the other thing I did also notice is that the Mr. Ring-a-Ding was a film from 1935.
Right.
You zoom in on the actual title screen when it comes up.
That's why I said it should have been more muted color, because he is literally supposed to be around when they just started colorization. And if you look at all the Fleischman and all the old Betty Boops and everything, they had like a muted color and stuff.
Now, on the one hand, yes, I do agree with you, just for the record. But I mean, if you also look, you've also got really colored things. Looney Tunes were 50s. Mighty Mouse was the 50s.
But you see, they were muted. They weren't as lined.
They were brighter than we think they were, but they were definitely more muted than that. Yes, and I agree that stylistically that looked more like the Scooby-Doo's, which was 69 when that came out.
And the sonic clarity too of his voice. It's like, you need some more pops and crackles in there. You know?
But they did change it. They did change the voice. If you watch it on a good screen / good sound system, they did change the audio quality. When he went to 2D.
And then he also said he had half a brain now instead of his whole brain and everything. Like everything was like, she was over dramatic. She, you know, so he wasn't really Thelma at that time. You know, he was more like just what the heck was going on.
Okay, I've just done a Google search and I really like that. The first ever color was Flower and Trees by Disney in 1932.
I thought it was Fiddlesticks in 1930.
No, I'll just.
It was 20 years. Either way, 20 years before.
Right.
So I mean, we got 20 years of
stuff. In color and with sound.
The 50s was not as we tend to think about the 50s in context of the television, not the film stuff, right? If you've got old film, when we think about it, we're thinking about film stock that's been around for 50 to 80 years.
Right.
Which mutes the color in and of itself. Whereas at the time, it wouldn't have been as muted as we think it was.
Yeah, but if you look at Mr. Ring-a-Ding, if it's 1935 and they're set in 1952, that's 17 years of degradation.
It should have been, yeah.
That's what that was, yeah, if that's what they were going for, and I don't actually know.
Okay, anyway, moving on.
I think the history of animation and anime, so I'm like...
Longest episode ever.
let's try to avoid that.
I've got the record for that. I have the record for the longest ever episode.
Or now.
When are we going to get in the Guinness Book of Records?
Well, we're going to get into a rarity at the very least. And that is a 10 coming from our analyst, Ion.
You guys are making me feel kind of bad, but I like it. I like it.
You gave it a 10.
I like it. I'm joking. Like, I'm just saying. Okay, I'm currently around the Miami area, so I've always wanted a hometown horror.
Oh, you're biased. That's what it is. It's location bias.
No. I've always wanted a hometown.
Just because it's in South Florida.
I've always wanted a hometown horror. I've prayed it'd be something decent, not just it's an alien or some lizard thing that is an alien, and no, it's the giant crocodile. No, it's the alien monster from XYZ planet, whatever. I'm a fan of the abstract stories, the stuff that gets even the Doctor Who fans thinking. The stuff like Ghostlight, the stuff like Flip Flop, and this is like right down that alley, right? If I want to break it down, we never actually had besides the Boneless. I don't think we've actually had a two-dimensional villain, and the Boneless were, I think, just shadows. So when you see this, and like, I don't know if anyone here played Cuphead or anything, right? But that was the first thing that came to mind when I saw the trailer. Out of everything in the trailer that grabbed my attention, it was Mr. Ring-a-Ding coming out of the screen, and the fact that story took place 20 minutes from me got me really invested and hyper focused into what's actually going on. So one thing I noticed here that also brought me in that no one actually talked about is Belinda's dialogue. I don't know if anyone talked about this last time, but she talked about the TARDIS, and the Doctor never brought up the TARDIS. And now, this time around, she says, "Let's go home to Gallifrey." I don't know about you guys. I've watched a lot of this show, all around companions. I never heard a single companion say, besides Romana, "Let's go home to Gallifrey." That's questionable. So there's that. Mr. Ring-a-Ding's animation is pristine. That's the one thing that got everyone in to Cuphead, because now you're actually playing like these 1920s to 1940s characters, but in a game. And to see it come to life, kind of like what's the thing? Who Framed Mr. Roger Rabbit, but in Doctor Who form. I found it really, really creative. Like, we went out of the box here. One thing I want to talk about is that you guys talked about gods and such. I kind of want to talk about this. Are they really gods, or are they extra dimensional beings? Because, like, if we want to take it down to a point, right? People can say, like with Q, if you put technology all the way to a certain point and it's so far ahead, it becomes magic, right? I don't know if they're actually gods. I don't know if Toymaker and the Riddler are actually gods, but like they give them a pantheon. But they say extra-dimensional beings and this and that. Fine. But the thing is that one thing I noticed ever since the Toymaker episode, the first one from the Hartnell episode, is that there's always helplessness. You're stuck with him, And if you win, he's gonna blow up his universe. You go to Sutek, he gets by inches because we gotta lock him in the time zone. But even though we didn't get by him, the only real gods I could think of that like the Doctor really just cleaned were the gods of Ragnarok.
Ragnarok.
Yeah, where he
The greatest
just
show in the
pulled out.
galaxy.
He just pulled out the medallion and just destroyed him. And so like when I come down to stuff like this, like the Big Finish story master, there's always this sense of helplessness, like you're just stuck here, and you are in the right. There's usually the doctor, and he knows what's going on, and he's usually the big man in charge. But when it comes down to every these little small bits and pieces, he's like the companion. You're as helpless as them. You are trying to hold on for dear life, and it's here in the form of a 2D thing that took the form of a 1930s cartoon. You don't get this often. I barely got this last season. We rode Sutek down the time stream on a leash, right? And we locked
and we got Lux off a spoon.
And we locked Toy Maker in a box. Personally, I don't like those, and just like you guys, because they're too godly. They shouldn't be losing like that. But then we get to Mr. Ring-a-Ding. How we didn't really actually beat him. We gave him what he wanted. He expanded into infinity. The first thing that came to mind when I saw him say, "I become everything and nothing," was when Thanos beat Eternity in the Infinity Gauntlet, and he became that astral projection and became the sky himself, and all powerful, all knowing. I am everything. I always thought, like, okay, we finally got a conclusion to a god that I can accept. You can't beat these guys. You're not ever supposed to beat these guys. And even if you do, it's supposed to be by the skin of your teeth, like in Pyramids of Mars. And the other one with Big Finish, kill the Doctor. That's another one with Sutek where he got by the skin of his teeth. And so, like, when it comes down to it, I found that this episode, as a plot-wise, was very strong, very abstract, and it left me wanting more. Okay, I want to talk about now the stuff about the fans, because everyone talks about the fans, and I want to talk about the fans. When it got down to that point, when they was actually like going through the slides and stuff and slides, I thought that this is their chance of trying like Big Finish level abstract, like flip-flop. You'd never be able to try and put flip-flop in real life, because how are you going to connect the ending and beginning and try and flip them? It's like trying to do Memento in 45 minutes. It's just never going to work. And so, like, when I see this, I want to say this. I don't think they're taking a dig at the fans. I think they see what we're saying, or what whatever side is saying, or whatever. I just think it's this. They're not real. The whole thing is not supposed to be taken that seriously. They tell you it themselves. We're not real. We're just here to be used to mess with these guys' heads. Yeah, sure, people may want to take it as them taking this whole giant commentary and this and that. Personally, when I see commentary, like when they look at the fans, they go at it. Like when I see Greatest Show of the Galaxy with that kid. The kid literally said, I may not like it, and it's not like how it used to be, but I'm still terribly interested. And so, like, when I see like actual digs at the fans, I see digs at the fans. This is like a love letter to fans, but the fans are angry. That's just how I look at it. And the last thing I kind of want to talk about is the racism thing, because like it or not, the Doctor's black. He's here. It's a thing. When I think about it, I think about how Martha was, and when Ten was there, and it wasn't really there. right? And I'd watch it with my mom and my brother, and we'd say she has the easy route. This is so easy. She's going to the 1800s, and she's having
Well, Shakespeare Code. What did he call her? I can't. What did he call her? The Shakespeare call her because of the
Fridonian.
No, the other thing.
More.
Something with the princess and everything, or whatever. And that's what I'm saying. Like back then, it had other names. Here, it was just out there and everything. And people don't realize even interracial marriage between different heritages was even wrong back then. Like the same with Belinda. She's considered also not welcome and everything because he said it in the coffee house that they just turned a blind eye right now because they don't believe in that. But like he said, you know,
people want to say, at least this is how I see it. People want to say that, oh, they talked about it a bit too much. They talked about it like 2 times. And I'll be honest here, I'll be blunt. We have actual pictures of people of me and Shooty's color going into diners around those times, and it'd be completely worse. I question myself, how did he get in the diner when it was segregated?
At night, they turned a blind eye.
Off that alone it makes it light.
Like she said at the table, if you don't say anything, I can talk to them.
Yeah, this is the nicest segregated diner I've ever seen in my life. So just off that, I'm glad they brought it up. But the fact that people are saying, oh, it's too much and this and that, I'm glad it's here because, again, people don't like it, but that was part of the city.
They don't realize a lot of states couldn't get married and you couldn't be seen.
Was segregated.
Yeah, they don't realize it's only that long ago because I had to do my family married everything and anything. And they had to face some of that too. Some of my family had to face that during that time.
But essentially, to put a cap on it, I think this episode was amazing. A 10 out of 10. I wish they'd go this left field or outside the taco more often. And I just want to leave you with this. Shooty's cried every episode, right?
Yeah.
He's like, his eyes are like flooding. We have a character named Miss Flood. Unless I might be going crazy, I won't lie. But what if Miss Flood? This whole thing maybe has to do with Miss Flood, because again, we have the Mavity thing. We have now Shooty crying all the time. We even have sometimes of episodes being redone, like in the Sutek episode, we had almost a play-by-play recreation of Pyramids of Mars when Ford took Sarah Jane to the alternate 1980s, and it was a play-by-play. Something's going on here, and it revolves around
an alternate 1980s, and this takes place in the 50s.
No. I talk.
No, you were hitting something. You were hitting something.
What was I hitting?
Back to the Future.
I wasn't thinking about that. But yeah, essentially, just to put a cap on it, if you get these people go through the dialogue and script all the time, and I doubt there'd be any mistakes. So for her to bring up the TARDIS without the Doctor bringing up the TARDIS, and her saying "Let's go home" to Gallifrey, it leaves you cannot leave her alone. That's the number one thing I take away from this episode, is that there's more to Belinda than they're giving us. That there's more to her than there meets the eye.
Yeah.
Or the moon.
Or the moon.
Yeah.
Even Ring-a-Ding's eyes had the moon in there.
Yeah.
Even Ring-a-Ding's eyes had the moon.
Well, we knew that. That's an easy one with him coming in from Moonlight. But
I like
no,
that.
that's
also
all really good.
Her name is Chandra, the Hindu goddess or god of the moon.
Can I ask you guys can I ask you guys a question just real quick?
Yeah.
So we're on here with gods, and we don't really have like a basis or like a definitive what the pantheon is. So like when I heard like this guy with light and like I guess like they're like all related, then what does Lux have? Does Lux have to do something with light from Ghostlight, or like is he even part of the pantheon? It's like they're like kind of similar but not similar.
Well, didn't he say his other name? The Arbiter?
The Harbinger.
Harbinger.
Oh yeah, they brought back the Harbinger thing with the cinema letters falling
Yeah,
off.
but he also said something about another name he had besides Lux. He had another name.
Lux Imperator.
That was it. Okay.
Yeah. Still Lux. It's just everyone's dropping the Imperator because only said it once.
The only other Lux I knew was in Silence of the Library.
I'm just loving Daleks Are Forever comment right there.
Thanks for reminding us.
Oh yeah.
What was
That's why no cartoons were harmed during this either.
Oh.
You got that one, Christian? No cartoons were harmed?
I don't. Like I said, I only have a limited amount of pictures.
Oh man, because I
thrown
sent you
here.
that one. It's a dinosaur. It's cute. A blue dinosaur.
But I got this one still.
That one I love.
What was the comment? I can't see it on my screen.
It says no cats were harmed during the taping of our show. So and
wow.
Daleks Are Forever says at least no innocent cats were deceased unnecessarily. So yay.
How do you know that cat was innocent? That's what I'm saying.
No cats are
Very rarely are cats innocent.
Well, we know. Yeah, no cats are innocent.
That being said, we're not going back to the cat. We're not going back to the cat. Not going back to the cat.
The cat has more play than anybody else. Come on.
Tastes like chicken.
Which means it worked.
He's the next companion.
That would be good. A cat companion.
I would
The
totally
15
do the cat sitting on top of the
console
box on top of the console. Suddenly bats a switch. No, I'm here for that.
Oh, somebody now RTD and all the ones are going to say, "Oh, we got to get a cat in the TARDIS."
We have a companion called Cat 9, but instead of affirmative, it just says negative because cats just like they never listen. Like, negative.
Cat 9. Is he German?
He's walking around the TARDIS just knocking stuff over. That's all he's doing.
Scratching his clothes in the wardrobe.
Little fishy.
Was that a German language joke? Because I said Cat 9 and you said the cat is German. Is that what?
Yes.
Very nice. I didn't even think of that. But
didn't the Doctor regenerate in one of the comic books as a dog?
Wait, was that in Who magazine?
No. It was the Family of Blood sequel. There was supposed to be a spin-off or something, and that actually came to the fact that the Doctor could regenerate into other species. I'm like, okay, we're going way.
Yeah, we're done.
No, it is canon. Romana did it.
She turned into a cat?
No, she turned into different alien species.
they should have the Doctor regenerate into an owl, and they should rename the series Doctor Who.
Dr. Wu. That was bad.
I know this is really random, but the 15 people, I feel like if I don't say this, I'm going to forget it. You said no cats were harmed. The 15 people were kind of traumatized, but when they were
they're stuck in a film strip.
Right, yeah, that was horrifying when Leigh was like, but when they're like all 15, I'm like, all 15. Does that mean anything? Are we going to get all 15 in one of the episodes? That would be kind of cool.
Be cool. I don't think it's going to happen. That would be cool.
It's funny how he has the same name. He has the same name Lux as the guy that funded the thing River Song was on. You know, the venture for Silence in the Library. That guy. That's what I'm saying. Lux and Lux. Like that's not even a coincidence.
Oh come on, Doctor Who wouldn't do a retcon.
You never know. There's a sequel coming
next week, probably.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so for me,
let's hear this.
Yeah, I'm waffling. I'm still waffling because I want to give it. No,
let's just take an intermission time. I just wanted to find a place to use this one.
My popcorn now. No. Very funny.
We're keeping that one. That one they said we got
we're
for
definitely
free.
keeping that one.
Yeah, we got it for free.
The,
and I have to thank somebody for that one. So thank you to the person who sent me that one.
Yeah. I started at 9, and I think I'm going to pull it back to an 8.5.
Okay.
I loved most of it, and even some of the stuff that was, people here said are negatives, I haven't taken as negatives. I loved, and I sent you one picture, Christian, and it was the one. I can find it if you can. You loaded it.
I did.
You did. There it is. It was actually
the last name. Okay, yeah, the last name.
Yeah, that one I was trying to find. That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, this is Lizzie, the redhead, and they said, "Oh, we don't even get surnames." They did, and then when the episode came out, even they were shocked. They didn't even realize they'd gotten one. So
Abel,
I did love that
Chowdhury,
self-awareness of no, we're minor characters. We don't even get a last name. It's like yeah. But I think that worked out really well. I love that scene just kind of in general. It was playful. It was not mean to fans. I loved the Telos shirt that she's wearing. I want that. I loved everyone agreeing that Blink is the best episode because that is kind of a universal fan thing. Almost everybody thinks Blink is one of the best episodes.
It's creepy as hell.
Exactly. And I loved how she just kind of glazed over the whole plot. It's a show where they couldn't blink. Well, that sounds enthralling. It was a terrible description, but we all know that it was so much more than that. And I loved that about it. So I think this was a loving, cheeky but loving homage to fans. The hashtag, I see why I can see the argument to keep it. I can see the argument to lose it. They could have added in a could have been hashtag spoilers. Could have been there's a number of things they could have done with that, admittedly, but I did really like their scenes. This was cute. But Mr. Rengading was, and as near as I can tell, he's from 1935, still in universe. I can't find anything, right? So we can give a little bit of it's too bright as just a function of that. But no, I really enjoyed the character. It felt appropriate for the era, more so than the Doctor and Belinda's animation. I agree, that was definitely very Scooby-Doo, which is 1969. So you're looking way past. But when are you going to get a couple of black characters on animation on a screen? Probably around that same time. I can't think of any positive representations of black characters from the 50s in animation.
The 50s? I don't know. As far as
you had Heckle and Jekyll. Those are not
Black
exactly
Panther,
positive.
That's it.
Sorry, what was that?
I think what
anime or animation?
In animation, you might have like the Black Panther from the 60s Fantastic Four cartoon, and it's not Black Thunder, but like it was the other guy from Super Friends.
Yeah,
so, like, that's all I remember.
You mean the crows from Jekyll and Hyde?
No, that was Jekyll and Jekyll too, but they're not Jekyll. Yeah, no, like there's some in the 60s, but I don't think there's any.
You had Josie and the Pussycats. What was her name? The one that was playing the tambourine.
But not
Fat Albert. Those were all like later on and stuff.
Yeah, that's all later on.
The only one I could think of is Tom and Jerry's. Tom's owner.
Yeah,
but that's like 40s, right? And you never
that was 40s.
Yeah, I don't know if we ever saw the owner.
Unless you got, I'm trying to remember. There was
I don't think it was the owner. I think it was like more like a caretaker for Tom and Jerry.
Possibly.
What about Bosco?
There is. I just googled it. There is a character from first was in 1939.
Oh well, there we go.
Is it Bosco, the one that from Looney Tunes?
No,
looks like he has a hat on his head.
An African boy.
Oh, Caveman Inc. That one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So arguable whether that's a positive representation. I'd have to look.
I
it up.
didn't say that. That's why I didn't mention
Yes.
the name.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Exactly. So, I kind of see why they went with the more of a Scooby-Doo feel for that. Forgetting, I think, that fans do obsess over everything, and hence the discourse we're having now. I do really enjoy it. Like I said, if you listen carefully, they did change the audio settings for that, which was really neat. And if you watch, one of the things I loved when they came into the fan scene is that there was fingerprints as he approached. You couldn't see them because of all of the bright white, but it starts coming in on his shoulder as he gets in closer. You see fingerprints on the. I'm like, is that fingerprints on my screen? And then they push it out, and you see them fall down. So there's like little details, and then they come out. They switch to the fans. They switch back, and there's a lighting change there as well. It's a cooler light that comes in at that point for that scene, which I think was really neat to do that as well. And again, it was subtle, but it was there. I'm glad it wasn't blindingly different. It would have felt way off, but it was really neat to see them do that. It wasn't a perfect episode. No. Was it great? Yes. I've watched it 3 times already. I would sit down and watch this again. If anything, I would say it was too short. And that would have solved some of the complaints that we've had over the course of the last hour and a half. Would have been a little bit more character building and a little bit more depth, if you will, a little bit more 3D.
But they did say the season was a little shorter than usual too.
Oh yeah, the season is short as well. So
almost like you're putting commercials in.
And it's been my complaint kind of for the whole era, has been a lot of these episodes have felt rushed.
Yeah,
the pacing has been just a little bit off. Like they were written to be longer and had to be cut.
Right.
That has been the one thing. That's one of the reasons I kind of brought it back as well.
I'm also wondering if that has to do with the reality war at the end. Why are they shorter?
Find out. But I did overall, like I said, I thought it was a great episode. Definitely one of the strongest of the era of the last 2 seasons. I'd say it is one of the, especially as far as a lighthearted show. Probably the best lighthearted episode for sure. Is it going to be your 72 yards? Is it going to be your boom? No, but it's I would rank it up there. And I'm curious to see what else. I like that the ending. I like that they didn't defeat him. They just he defeated himself by his own hunger. I would have liked when they went 3D with him, and I loved how creepy the full 3D version was.
That was creepy as hell.
Very 1990s brought up. But then the 1990s animation is a kind of a full circle in style. But I would have liked to have seen something closer to Nightcrawler. The live action Nightcrawler that is Alan Cummings.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen a character. I would have seen more of Alan Cummings in that character at that time. I think that would have been fabulous. I'm not taking anything points away for that. That's a personal thing. But I think that would have been great.
Imagine if he turned into him when he got all his light. That would have been interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, he could have still gone back to being full cartoon after, but which was a bit weird having gone, oh, I'm 3D now and I'm going back to 2D now. That's a budget thing.
I hear copyright issues all over the place right now.
I don't care you have extra budget. Stop that.
But it's just funny how a spoon has led to so much craziness with this season and everything, even last season.
Spoons.
Can I say something about that?
Yes.
Every single god we've had an encounter has something to do with a spoon.
Yep.
Right? Who's the last person that got called God of Spoons? Yes.
Well, Jody used the spoon to help make the Sonic. And then he did the same thing with his spoon when the planet was whatever and everything. And then everybody else has just been at spoons all over. But spoons are all spoons to spill the tea.
I need one doctor. There's only one Doctor who played the spoons.
Yeah.
Again, I might be going mad. I'm a 7th
Mm-hmm.
Doctor fan, but like he called Ronnie the god of spoons. We're getting like gods out of everywhere. I see spoons. I see the correlation somewhere.
Yeah.
Flood might be the Ronnie.
He's just like the 7th Doctor plays with.
Ronnie is still copyrighted because everyone keeps saying no, it's not, but it is still copyrighted. It might.
Really?
Ronnie is still copyrighted. They have to ask permission for it. Now, if he was able to negotiate that permission, then you all can speculate anything. But I'm going with the bi-generation. Maybe that's the only way we're going to probably get.
So, anyways,
personally, I think that all the characters are just going to come back and have to fight the 12th Doctor. He's like, because this is my spoon, and he's just going to sword fight all of them.
Or a Valley Yard thing.
Yeah.
We might end up with a Valley Yard thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut across you, Dave. Sorry.
No, that was worth it.
I'm just gonna say this one line from the 8th Doctor from the TV movie. I love humans. They're always finding things and things. And
it's funny
that's what's gonna happen here, you guys. You guys are focusing on a spoon, and it's just going to be nothing whatsoever.
And if you know, like with the 8th Doctor, he was with his companion. They got brought into our world in the Doctor Who magazine, right? And everything. And it's funny, it was Beep the Meep that was already ahead of them, and the 4th Doctor had to help them with the story and everything. So it's just funny how it's like we're going back that way and stuff. It's just weird that they're mentioning all these fourth wall breaks.
Yeah, exactly. So
Robin Hood with a spoon.
why don't we take a look at what Faith had to say?
Yeah, yes.
Let's grab in Faith.
Let's see.
I'm glad you reminded me. I almost forgot that
So
Faith
last
had
call to put your comment, your ratings 1 to 10 into the chats. Well, Kristen pulls up that video.
I'm going to be honest. I have not watched this video, so everybody, we're seeing this for the first time. But this is Faith. This is Faith Kelly, our premier 13th Doctor. And I don't have a picture, but this is her out of the 13th Doctor outfit. So this is her rating and her score.
Hi, everybody. Hi, team, gang, fam. Just had to throw a little 13 at you. Basically, I went into this episode thinking it was going to be my favorite episode, not knowing what the rest is going to bring us for this season. And I was correct. It's currently my favorite episode. It had everything that I loved in it. I loved the scene with Belinda and the Doctor when they finally get the TARDIS rolling, and then he's just like, yeah, we could leave, and she's just like, no, but I want to get home. And then he's like, but we could. And she's just like, because she understands that he's just itching to go and explore this mystery. Each episode, there's a little bit more trust building in their friendship, companionship. A retro diner, the big old letterboxes at the retro theater, clothing, everything in it was just amazing. I need Belinda's dress now for my own wardrobe. I don't know where I'll wear it, but I need it. Mr. Ring-a-Ding was so eerie, but yet cute. Scene where 15 and Belinda go running up the ramp, go into the wardrobe, come out in their 50s attire. And I studied that, and I was like, wait a minute, that's the exact same scene, cut by cut, of Ruby and 15 are running up the ramp, going to the wardrobe, coming out in their 60s attire for meeting Maestro, the Pantheon god. So I was like, okay, this is either a parallel back to 15 and Ruby, or foreshadowing for another Pantheon god. When we hear the ha 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 ha, I was like, yep. The Doctor and Belinda realize that they need to come out of the screen, and then they look directly at us, so they break the fourth wall, come out of the screen, and it's actually an episode of Doctor Who. Was chef's kiss. I love that so much. The callbacks to Series 5, Murray Gold, I cried with the soundtrack playing. Fans who wore the scarf and the fez, I cried. 20 out of 10 for me. Amazing. I loved it so much.
That's why she's adorable.
Stop making up your own numbers, Faith. Anyway, just in case, she wanted me to make sure people knew. She wanted this picture up there. There you go.
Okay.
That's Faith.
It's a great picture.
It is a beautiful picture. So
what do we have in the comments for ratings, Kristen?
Oh my god.
Let's see what we got.
Okay, well, Patches said 10 out of 10. I love the anime. Let me grab all this. Oh gosh, there's so many. Dan earlier, he said I give it an 8. Wasn't in the least traditional, but it didn't need to be. So I understand what you're saying there. Over at Spill the Geek Tea on the YouTube channel with Tom, I agree with Dan's ratings with a point. Stop that. Anyway, Nico Bat says I give it an 8. I love the Scooby-Doo references. They needed a Scooby-Doo style chase scene. The villain was definitely unique. The fans that love Blink made me laugh the most there. Roger, I am with Dan on this 8 out of 10. It was a little dark until the Doctor and Belinda meets 3 people in the world that the Doctor's life is a TV show called Doctor Who thinks Blink was the best episode. Patches, I give it a name out of 10. We're okay. I'll give it I guess 8. It rhymes
Patches
with it.
is doing 10.
There you go. I give it a name out of 10. I enjoy seeing anime in the live action. I remember in the old Doctor Who's they did it in anime. Of course, Tom's going for 8.888888. Ramana's going with a 9. Lots of surprise touches on some famous movies. I just brought this up because Patch asked a question: who is Mrs. Flood if she's not a version of the Master? Edward came in and said a solid 8 for me. Decent story. I like the chemistry between the Doctor and the companion. That didn't hyper focus on the Doctor crying. Ken, yeah, he cried. Shooty really shined in this one. Daleks are forever. At least no innocent cats were deceased. Yeah, I'll throw that up there. There's a question from the audience. Billy, hello, Billy. I think it's the first time we're seeing you here. Will there ever be a Doctor Who movie that will be made for the theater?
I know the last final episode was released in the theatre of season 1 with Ncuti Gatwa. So the last 2 episodes were in the cinema. I can't call it a theatre because theatre means different to us. I don't think the last ones were the Peter Cushing movies. But normally they just do like episodes in the cinema rather than actual.
Wasn't the 50th in the theaters? Yeah, the 50th was in the theaters.
50th was in the cinema. I'm not sure about the 96 version. I'm not sure if that came directly to TV or was that
TV.
I really hope they make one just for the theaters. I mean, during the Capaldi era, I always thought like they should just make like it doesn't have to be the culmination of anything. They should just make a standalone Doctor Who movie. Like just make an episode that like has a 2-hour runtime and make it a movie. Give it more budget. Like they could just make like they could right now make a standalone Peter Capaldi Doctor Who movie.
Okay, I'm going to add to this question, and because it's different. Would you see a Doctor Who movie in a cinema, or would you see a musical Doctor Who in a theatre?
Interesting.
I'd want the cinema because I could
Dave's both. Spill the Geek Tea. I would ask, how much time does the Doctor have to live with his energy absorbed?
I wanted to bring this up because we brought up stakes, right? And I'm very adamant on the timeless child thing being a problem because it takes away all the stakes in regeneration episodes. Once you look at certain things, right, and you watch the regeneration episodes, like Tom Baker falling off the satellite dish or Seven getting shot, it means something. But then when you take away the fact that like he's just going to just keep regenerating over and over and over and over and over again, like he's just an unlimited battery, it loses stuff. So like when I saw that scene where like he's being drained, I questioned, does this mean anything? Are they going to add any dialogue saying that this might have messed with the timeless child stuff, or are they just going to just hand wave it and just say, yeah, he's good? And it ended up being the latter. And so to answer the question, I don't really know. I wish it meant something, but as far as we've been given, it doesn't really mean anything.
100% agree with you. Yeah, I'm on the same page as you on that.
Daleks are forever. Anyone notice Mrs. Flood's cartoon? Notice Mrs. Flood and cartoon Mrs. Sunshine were dressed the same. Continues. Roadrunner would destroy Dingaling, and why spend all that? I guess we got a negative on Alan Cummings there. Any voice actor could have done it. That's a reasonable question, especially they got a budget now, for crying out loud.
Was that Alan Cummings that did the?
That was Alan Cummings. Yeah,
that was Alan Cummings.
He was in prior episode.
Yeah, I thought that. You know what? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut across. I thought of that when I was hearing his voice. I'm like, that kind of sounds like Floop, like. And then I just threw the thought away, and I never thought about it again.
Daleks are forever. 3 out of 10.
Wow.
Went a little down out there. And Libra, I think this is the first time we're seeing it. It was a great episode. Love the tease at the end with Mrs. Flood right before the TARDIS disappeared. I give it an 8.5 to 9. Daleks are forever. Love the Peter Cushing movies. We should have had a Christopher Lee master. Agree. Wish we could go back in time and do that. Would you accept? I know we're running out of time here, but would you accept a Doctor Who movie if they used CGI Peter Cushing and CGI Christopher Lee to make that story?
No.
Or do you think that's pushing it?
Nope.
No.
AI doesn't have anything.
Hire an actor who can portray a kid. I don't want, like, no disrespect, but I don't want Luke Skywalker, CGI Luke Skywalker in the Doctor Who universe. I just don't want that.
I would give a small break if they used a CGI Cushing's for the regeneration scene only. Like, that's the first scene. He's already down.
And the regeneration is something else.
That happened, but just that regeneration, I could get behind. Maybe, depending on how they did it.
I'm with you, Billy. I would love to see him as a movie and see a movie in the movie theater. I'm not a musical fan, and I actually grew up.
It's a cinema, not a theater.
Yeah,
So-
I used to. When I
theater.
went to Rollins, I had a college professor who, when I was in theater, college professor says, "If you don't like musicals, you're not alive. Check your pulse." And I'm like, I sat there and checked my pulse. I checked my and time scales. No, I'm not hiding. I am in the upper right hand corner. Just staying out of there. Yes, I'm just the voice out there. So those are our chats, Dave. Let's go ahead and wrap her up.
Excellent. Well, thank you guys, everybody, for joining us. Zion, once again, where can we find you?
Porygon's Pokédex on YouTube. I will put it. I didn't post it. Give me a second. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, just go put in the private chat, and we'll transfer it over.
Mm-hmm.
And Sean, where can we find Our Philosophy Is?
Yeah, you can find me on YouTube, and I usually do Doctor Who reviews, but I got to be honest with you guys on this panel. I like you guys. I like seeing you guys for Doctor Who episodes. So I've been kind of, and now granted, I'm sorry that I wrote my master's thesis this time. I didn't mean to go so long. My review.
We like you too.
Yeah. Oh, thank you very much. But yeah, I'm on YouTube at Our Philosophy Is. And I talk, every week I do this. I try to lay out something that's like, this is what I normally do. I just do random stuff, basically around philosophy. But yeah, that's where you can find me. And guys, I'm only saying this now because I don't think I'm going to get a chance to say it. Post show, if you cannot hear me, I wanted to ask you guys some things. So if you can't hear me, can someone try to unmute me? Because last time post show, I was muted and I thought no one loved me. So yeah.
We had a great show. Nobody likes you.
Gotcha.
Nobody likes you, Sean.
We love you, Sean.
Darn.
We love you, Sean.
Well, I'm getting mixed messages here.
That's right.
We're the crazy family.
Exactly. And Nick, where can we find you?
You can find me all over New York signing copies of my new book. Check this out. This is Milk Treading. A cat journalist solving mysteries in a city of cats. So they've done a really nice wraparound cover.
Where will you be signing this live?
I'll be signing in Jamestown, New York, and Fredonia, New York. So Western New York. That's where I'll be with that. Also, you can visit me on #NickSmithFilms.
Excellent. And Candyman, where can we find you, good sir?
In his bathroom.
Yeah, in my bed, falling asleep.
That was bad. He's going to sleep right now. He's a day walker.
I know this is a nightmare for me. You can find me here at the Legend of Traveling TARDIS, and you can also find me at Spill the Geek Tea, where we just talk about random stuff, and we mean random stuff.
Yes. And Gadget, where can we find you?
Everywhere and anywhere. And
Whoa,
Christian, you're gonna make me put that one I made for you where they're coming out of the TARDIS and says Christian did it again. You know, because Mark has a copy of it too.
Yeah.
And everything. But you can find me YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, X, whatever they call it now. Lulu.com for mine and everything. I'm hoping to make some money since my unemployment runs out at the end of the month and everything. So I'm gonna probably be pressing these a little longer. Lulu.com. Journey that I took to England and some Doctor Who stuff in here, but because of copyright. And this is a book for anyone who's got dyslexia, autism, or just wants to learn how to play Dungeons and Dragons the simple way. Pick this up and everything and stuff. But right now it's everywhere and everywhere. Plus I'll be at the Build Expo in June, Bronx Comic Con in August, and Anime NYC later in August and everything.
Excellent. I got to remember to tell you about Obajima, which is a Studio Ghibli themed D&D world.
Oh,
I got,
and I was gonna find the Sailor Moon thing for you to see it since I have it. Yeah.
But you can find me obviously here on the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS and on Spill the Geek Tea. This Sunday we're actually going to be interviewing me on the show, so you can tune in for that.
Yes.
But you can find me on my YouTube channel, TheRatHole.CA, where I've got all sorts of gaming goodness. Billy, how often do you do this? We do this every Tuesday starting at 6 p.m. Eastern. So every week. And during the run, we're going to be doing live watch parties. We're still trying to figure out if there will be or how it will run if we do a live watch party for the show drop this coming weekend, because I'm not available.
I think Tom's going to take host.
Sure.
He's going to be hosting duties. Yeah. He's
nice.
Crazy enough to get up at 3 a.m. So I'm going for it.
Exactly. So yes, I'll be hosting this week.
I will try to be on
Eastern
it
when the show drops. So yeah, you can find me at TheRatHole.CA or my new show that is the first episode's all recorded. You'll see some friendly faces there as well. It is called The Happiness Patrol, and you can find that at youtube.com/@HappinessPatrolShow. Apparently those capitals do make a difference when searching for the thing. You can subscribe now. First show drops June 5th, talking about Star Wars Episode 1. So it's a happy place where we try to avoid negativity and toxicity and just have ourselves a good time.
All right.
Well, let me go ahead and wrap up our side, and then we'll get you guys going out there. And thank you all for joining us out there every Tuesday night at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard. And plus, while we're doing the watch parties live, keep an eye out on your schedules on our YouTube channel, our Facebook page, or wherever you follow the Legend of the Traveling TARDIS. For our convention wides, Space Coast Comic Con is going to be taking place at the Space Coast June 14th and 15th. So get your tickets now and just go to spacecoastcomiccon.com to get your tickets. And it's really, really a fun little show out there in the community center. Also, Ancient City Con taking place September 12th through the 14th at the World Golf Village Renaissance Resort. I hear that the rooms are selling out pretty fast, so might as well get your rooms if you want to book. They do have a special discount rate if you want to stay at the Village Renaissance Resort. It's a nice place. The convention center is connected, and we're going to be there with the Daleks of Florida, including Dalek Hal and all the team out there. So if you want to catch some Daleks and you just want to play around, we're going to be out there with them. Again, September 12th through the 14th at the World Golf Village Renaissance Resort in St. Augustine, Florida. Keep an eye out on our social media for any more convention news that's going to be coming up out of here. And let's go ahead. Dave, any last words before we wrap it up?
Thank you guys all for joining us. We will talk to you again next week. Talk about the next episode. But until then, become part of the legend. Say goodnight, Simon, and take it away, Tony.
Until the next adventure, take it away, Tony. And yep, everybody say goodnight, Simon.
Good night, Simon.
Now I hit the end. I hit the end stream button, right? I really screwed it up last week. Let's see what happens out there. Tony, take us.